Hi everyone, welcome to Belle's Books. I'm Carly and today I'm bringing you my live reaction to the Women's Prize long list, which is due to be announced in about 5 minutes. So I'm sat in front of my laptop with the Women's Prize YouTube channel open, waiting for the announcement. And I'm just going to watch that and see what happens. Now, I am useless at predicting these long lists. I don't do predictions because I don't know what to predict, and usually everything on the long list is a complete surprise to me. I'm expecting no different this year, but I have been watching a lot of prediction videos. I love this time of year because I love watching everyone else's predictions videos. So I've watched a lot of them. There are a handful of books that I would love to see on the long list. I have a few beside me. So I've made a list of predictions that I'm going to share with you now. But a lot of these books I am not massively familiar with, so I'm not going to describe them. I'm just going to tell you what my predictions are, and then when the announcement is made, laugh because they're all wrong. So this is my list of 16 books, which part wish list, because some of them I really want to be on there, part just predictions based on what a lot of other people have said, as in this seems a favourite, this seems quite popular. Okay, so we have got Woman Eating by Claire Coder, which is probably the only book on here that I have read, and I loved it. I read it last year. It is a contemporary vampire story that is also kind of a little bit coming of age. It looks at race and loneliness and figuring out who you are. It's just wonderful. I love it. Oh, I said I wasn't going to do this. Anyway, that's the only one I've read, so that's the only one I can talk about. Okay, then I've got Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer, which I'm just about to read for my book club. Night Crawling by Layla Motley, which was also longlisted or shortlisted for the Booker. Shrines of Gaiety by Kate Atkinson. Now, I don't think this is going to be on the list because Kate Atkinson's a big hitter, but I would like it to be there because it's set in the 1920s and I'm here for that time period. They're Going to Love You by Meg Howry. I know nothing about it other than it's about ballet, so I instantly want to read it because when I heard about it, I love ballet. I do ballet class, so that's on my list to read anyway. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Again, I know nothing about it other than it's a popular choice, so I picked it. Really Good Actually by Monica Heisey. I've got this on reserve from the library as an audiobook, but it's not going to become available to me until June because it's very popular. It sounds funny and I'm here for that. A Spell of Good Things by Ayobami Adebayo, top tipped by everybody for this list. Horse by Geraldine Brooks. The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. I will be surprised if that's not on here. I bought this for my mum, so if it's on here, I can read it. I'll just nick it back off my mum. Burnham Wood by Eleanor Catton. I really do want to read that. Briefly a Delicious Life by Nell Stevens. Would love to read this one also. The Things That We Lost by Jyoti Patel. The only reason I've picked this is because this author is new to me and she is on Ali Smith's debut writers panel coming up at the Cambridge Literature Festival. That's how I know about her. I know nothing about the book other than what I've just had a quick look at. The Rabbit Hutch by Tess Gunty and Now She Is Witch by Kirsty Logan. So those are my 16. Let's see what happens in a couple of minutes when the announcement is made. I'm not hopeful because, like I say, I'm never very good at predicting these. And generally every year when the long list comes out, I'm just like, what? I've never heard of this book. Who? I've never heard of this author. And they're all brand new. So, you know, it's anybody's guess. Let's see what happens. So, I'm so excited. I love this time of year. The Women's Prize is just the best. It feels like Christmas to me. I've got the YouTube channel up in front of me and I can see that people talking in the chat already. Eric Carl Anderson is there. And who else? Gem reads. Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Oh, it's exciting seeing all these names pop up. Yeah, so I don't know. I've got a stack next to me of the books that I own. That's not one of them. That was a notebook that I will be reading anyway. So these are some of my choices that are just on my TBR. So There you go. Let's see if any of these appear on the long list. But I will be reading Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies next because I'm reading that for my book club. It is my pick, my choice for my book club. And it's experimental in form, and I'm writing about experimental literature for my PhD. So I'm going to be referencing it in my PhD at some point. 2 minutes to go. I really hope that Dan doesn't call me to come and pick him up, because this is the time when he gets home from work and I have to pick him up. If he does, I'm just going to ignore him until this is finished. The countdown is on. Under a minute to go. I'm so excited. Oh, and the one thing about filming this now is that I don't get to watch other people's live reactions. So I'll be watching all of those back because I love watching those as well. Yeah, because I'm doing my own, which is a first. I can't wait. Oh, do you know what I haven't done? I haven't got the library catalogue open. Oh my goodness. Get the library catalogue open, so as soon as I hear them, I can reserve if they are on the library catalogue. And if they are not, when I'm at work next, I will request them all for purchase, because that's what I do. Turn the sound up. There we go. 3, 2, and 1.
Hello everybody, I'm Louise Minchin and I'm delighted to welcome you to the announcement of the Women's Prize for Fiction 2023 long list. It has been an incredible privilege to be able to read all of these books, to talk about it with my fellow judges, and it gives me enormous pleasure to be able to introduce you to an incredible list of books.
I hope you can hear that.
Sophie Mackintosh is a brilliant
Cursed Bread, Sophie Mackintosh. I saw other people talking about this.
The Dog of the North by Elizabeth Mackenzie is a
Dog of the North by Elizabeth Mackenzie. Have never heard of it. No idea.
I found it incredibly funny, very moving.
Travelling in a van around. That sounds fun. Glory by Violet Bulawayo. Yes, I could have guessed that because that was also long listed for the Booker.
Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris.
Black Butterflies, Priscilla Morris. Not heard of it.
And a wife who's stuck in Sarajevo when the war starts. It's a question of whether she leaves
a war
and
story.
joins the rest of her family in England, or whether she stays at home and fights the war effectively.
Okay.
Fire Rush by Jacqueline Brooks. I love this story.
Never heard of it. Fire Rush, Jacqueline Brooks. Another story about music. They seem to be quite popular. We had last year, we had some Opal and Nev about music. I don't know what that was. I didn't read it.
Homesick by Jennifer Croft is a brilliant read which explores the relationship between two sisters.
Sister's story, they love a sister's story. Homesick, Jennifer Croft.
Home and the ways in which we come to ourselves.
Demon Copperhead, Barbara Kingsolver, that was a shoe-in. Everyone was talking about that. I don't know why I didn't put it on my list. Probably because it's massive and I didn't want to read it. A David Copperfield rewrite. I might read that actually. I'm a fan, Sheena Patel. I'm no good with my library catalogue. I'm not reserving any of these. I do want to read I'm a Fan actually. I have heard good things about that. I heard that one mentioned on other people's videos. Memphis, Tara M. Stringfellow. Yes, The Marriage Portrait. I've guessed one correctly. And also I can nick it off my mum to read it. Well done for me for buying it for my mum. Pod. Story of a dolphin. What?
Trespasses by Louise Kennedy.
Trespasses, Louise Kennedy. I've heard of this. Other people have mentioned this. Love story.
The Bandit Queens by Perini Schroff.
Bandit Queens.
Awesome
I love that cover.
I never expect I will be reading about. The superstar is
this long list, I knew I would never hear any of them.
She inspires other women to murder their husbands.
Oh, yes, I've got one.
The story of Medusa, and it is very funny.
Yes.
Clever, and it breaks the fourth wall.
Yes, about Medusa.
Wandering Souls by Cecile King is a story of
Wandering Souls.
to this country From
Another
Vietnam,
one I've not
the
heard
dangerous
of.
journey that she has to go through, a story of immigration and how she eventually makes Britain.
Immigration Stories,
Children
Hot
of
Property.
Paradise by Camilla Cordova.
Children
It's
of
an
Paradise.
immersive, hallucinatory read set
Again,
in a
more
crumbling
authors
old
I've not heard
cinema
of.
where the real and the imagined collide in fantastical fashion.
Oh, that sounds good. Wow, what a long list. Yep, have only heard of some of them. Some of them
So
complete
there you have it,
surprises.
Women's Prize for Fiction 2023 long list. Go out there, enjoy those books.
I
Buy
will.
them, borrow
I
them,
will
talk
enjoy
about
them.
discuss them, but most of all, open the pages.
Wow, amazing. Okay, so obviously a massive surprise. I got, how many did I get on my list? 2. 2 on my list. Stone Blind and The Marriage Portrait. I am really surprised actually, and a little bit gutted that quite a lot of these on my list weren't on there, like Briefly a Delicious Life by Nell Stevens. Would have liked to have seen that on there, because I mean I haven't read it yet, but I've heard loads of good things about it and I do want to read it. And also I'm not, when books are shortlisted or longlisted by other prizes, so Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies and Night Crawling, both were on, I think it was the Booker long list. So I feel like it's good when other books get coverage from different prizes. So that's cool. But yeah, okay. Now I'm going to have to go and read all about these books, find the synopsis and pick which ones I want to read. Well, yay, I've got one. And The Marriage Portrait, but that's quite a big boy. Demon Copperhead I wasn't that bothered about, but I might read it. We shall see. I'll put it like at the back. What I might do is read it if it gets shortlisted. There you go. Wow. Okay, I am in shock as ever with the Women's Prize, but looking forward to finding out more about them. And then what I think I'll do is, because I've got my book, my Women's Prize journal that I write my predictions in, what I'll do is I'll go through the actual long list, not my list of very wrong predictions, and work out which ones I want to read, and then I will tell you about it later on. Hi, so I'm back. It's now a few days later and I've had some time out because it was Dan's birthday and we were in London doing birthday things. So now I've had some time to look over the long list and decide which ones I'm going to read, and read a bit more about the books. So I've been watching other people's reaction videos, which I love. I just love watching all of them, and looking at the Women's Prize website and reading the synopsis of all of the books. So I've made my list of the long list and I mark out which ones I'm definitely going to read, which ones I'm not sure of, and which ones I don't think I'm going to read. This does change over time because what happens is I will watch other people's videos. Jen Campbell's posting hers tonight and that's one of my favourite ones of the year, watching her read the long list, because generally what she likes I will then make a point of going to read. Same for like Eric Carl Anderson and Simon Savage. So if they get good reviews from those people, then I will read them. Okay, so the ones that I have marked out that I'm not going to read, like I said, this may change, are Pod by Lalaine Paul. This is told from the perspective of a dolphin, and it's about a group of dolphins. And that, I mean, it's not really a perspective that I'm mad keen on. She also wrote The Bees, which I do have written from the perspective of bees, and I did want to read. So I don't know why I wanted to read one about bees, but I'm not that keen on dolphins. Who knows? That may change. So this one is about a dolphin who is deaf and therefore has trouble fitting in with his group or his pod, and then goes off on their own and you know, finds life difficult, I guess. So it's about family and belonging and all of that. Anyway, I'm not too keen on that, so I'm not bothered, but we shall see what happens. The Dog of the North by Elizabeth Mackenzie. The cover on this I find very off-putting because it is very contemporary women's fiction. I'm not that into that. It seems like quite comedy. It's about a woman who is just divorced and is having trouble with her family members. I think her dad's been put in a home, and she goes off on this not adventure, but she goes off in this like camper van to sort out her life, and it's just not, the premise just doesn't appeal to me. And if it's that kind of very light contemporary women's fiction vibe, I'm not that bothered, so I'm gonna leave that one, I think. Then we have these two, actually I might change my mind on. Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris. And I have to keep looking these up because I can't remember what they are. This is set in Sarajevo in 1992. It is about a woman who has to send her husband and daughter to England because it's all kicking off. Nationalist gangs, the war is happening, and the city is being divided. So she's living in this kind of war zone, and she's a teacher. Yeah, so she's staying in the city, sending her family to safety, and it's just about the fallout of that. I am quite interested to read that kind of perspective because it's something that I know nothing about, so I might put that on my maybe list, because originally I was like, oh no, that sounds a bit too much, I don't think I'll read that, but actually I might push that up to my maybe list. Similarly, Children of Paradise by Camilla, I can't read my own writing, is that Crudova? This is about a cinema, again, which I wasn't that keen on the premise. I wasn't that bothered about. Camilla Grudova. So it's about a girl or a woman that joins this cinema to work for it in quite a menial job, and she's like has no enthusiasm for it, but it's an independent cinema, and then she gets involved with it and all the people that work there. So it sounds like it's kind of very character driven. And then I think the premise is that it's due to get taken over by like some big conglomerate cinema brand, and they're fighting for this independent cinema to stay independent. So yeah, originally I was like, I'm not that bothered about this, so I don't know, I'll see what other people say, and I might push it up to a maybe if it gets good reviews from other people. Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Now, I know Barbara Kingsolver is a much loved author. I haven't read anything that she's written. I would like to, but this book is massive, and the only thing that's putting me off is that it's massive. I'm just have a fear of big books because it takes me too long to read. Like, my reading is quite slow at the moment, so I think I'm just going to push that right to the back. If it gets shortlisted, maybe. If it wins, maybe. But yeah, I'm just not here for the big chunkiness of this book. Okay, now we have the maybes that I marked out already. Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks, which is a book about music. I'm not sure when it's set, actually, it doesn't say, but it's about a woman who her life revolves around going clubbing at the weekend and being involved in that kind of that music scene. Again, I wasn't that bothered about it, but it does say that it's set both in London and Bristol, and and she gets involved in like the race riots and things like that, so that does intrigue me. The connection between like music and culture and community, and like the fallout of those race riots, so I would be quite interested to read that, I think. Homesick by Jennifer Croft. A lot of these like I'd never heard of, but this is a book about two sisters, and it's a coming of age tale, and I love coming of age books. I love books about sisters. Set in Oklahoma, and one of the sisters suffers from seizures, and the other one like is really gifted and learns a lot about languages, and so finds her way through like an intellectual path. So I'm quite interested to read that. If I can get hold of a copy, I will read it, I think. I looked up all these books in my library catalogue, and they're just not there at all, so when I go into work on Monday, I will request them all for purchase. Memphis by Tara N. Stringfellow. This sounds really interesting. It's a multi-generational story about a a woman who goes back to her family home with her 2 daughters, I think. And so I think it's told through the various generations about Memphis. Again, I know nothing about Memphis. And yeah, it just sounds really intriguing, and I love a family saga, so I'm here for that. Also, Trespasses by Louise Kennedy is set in Northern Ireland at the time of the Troubles. It's based around the character of a teacher who is like looking after children and having to kind of teach them about what's going on, and like their vocabulary, you know, turns into like learning about petrol bombs and all of this terrible stuff that happens. So I think that one will be quite hard going, but again, it's something I would like to read more about. So if I can get a copy, I will read that. The last one on my maybe list is Wandering Souls by Cecile Pinn. This is about I think it's 3 family members that flee from Vietnam after the American troops leave Vietnam. And they are refugees. They go to Hong Kong. They get split up from the rest of their family, and then they arrive in Thatcher's Britain. And it is about the refugee experience from these people fleeing Vietnam. Now, I would actually quite like to read this because I've recently just read Ocean Vuong's On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, and that talks about the Vietnam War and people fleeing from it. So I think that would be a really good follow-on, because again, it's something that I know very little about. And I think this book would be very prescient for what's going on now with, you know, the whole shit show that is our government refusing asylum seekers and refugees because they are horrible. Let's just leave it there. So I think that one should actually be higher up my list on the yes, I will read it. Okay, now the ones that I'm definitely going to read, because either I have them or I have got them coming. So I just bought this when it hit the long list. I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. This has been on my radar. I'd seen it here and there, people talking about it and just saying how great it was. It is very much about internet culture. It's about a woman who is, I think, she's either having an affair with this dude who's married, and she's obsessed with him and obsessed with his partner. So it's all about like social media stalking, which I'm kind of here for at the moment. I'll just leave it at that, but I'm here for this book, so that's very high up my list. Then we have Cursed Bread by Sophie Mackintosh, which I have heard of and was on my radar. I've put a reserve on it through my library, so hopefully that will come in very soon. Based on a historical event, which I love things based on historical events. I'm assuming it's about some bread that gets poisoned and then bad things happen when people eat it in this particular village. I can't remember when it's set, but I'm here for Sophie Mackintosh. I've not read anything that she's written, even though I've got The Water Cure, and I was thinking about reading The Blue Ticket, I think she wrote, which is dystopian fiction. Oh, another one I actually have, which is Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes, a Greek myth retelling of Medusa, because, you know, Medusa has had it bad. She's got a bad rep in history with her snakes for hair, and actually when you look at the actual myth of her, she was very hard done by. So I'm very excited to read this, and I've heard good things about it. And the last one on my yes I'm going to read is The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell, which I can get a copy of because I bought it for my mum. So when she's finished with it, I'm just going to steal it back and read it. And I love Maggie O'Farrell. I've only read 2 of her books, Hamnet, which I adored, and The Hand That First Held Mine, which I read a long time ago, and I loved it. So I think she's one of those authors that whatever she writes, I will be on board with and I'll be here for. So I'm definitely going to read that. Editing Carly here. I forgot to talk about 2 of the books. Well, I don't know what happened there, but Glory by No Violet Bulawayo I am going to read. I have got a copy of that coming to me. Bought it secondhand off Depop, didn't I? So I'm going to be reading that. I had it on my radar anyway because it was longlisted for the Booker Prize, and it's like a kind of reinvention or a new version of Animal Farm. It's animal characters set in a very kind of political scenario where there's like uprisings and stuff. So yes, I'm here for that, and will be reading it when I get my copy through the post. And the last one is The Bandit Queens by, oh, I can't read my own writing again, Carly, honestly. Parini Shroff. Let's have a look, see if I've just absolutely butchered that name. The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff. Yes, this sounds also, the cover is beautiful of this, and it sounds amazing. It is about a woman who is a widow, and all the other women in her village think that she murdered her husband, so they come to her and ask her like how to murder their husbands, which is a premise that is brilliant, and I'm here for it. I have reserved this from my library catalogue, so when this comes in, I will definitely be reading this because it sounds amazing. Right, that's it. Okay, those are the 16 books, what I'm going to read, what I might read, and what I'm not that bothered about. Talk to me in the comments below. Tell me your reactions to the Women's Prize long list if you're following it. Do any of these books appeal to you? Are you going to read any of them? I'm very excited to get started on this, on these few. I think the first one I'm going to read is I'm a Fan, because I've been really excited about this since I heard about it, and it's very short. So yeah, I'll let you know how I get on. I'll post individual reviews of the books that I do read, and maybe try and do some kind of reading vlog type things as well. Now the weather is warmer and I'll be going back to the allotment. Okay, I will see you all very soon for another video. In the meantime, take care and happy reading. Bye everyone.